Today I'm joined by Mary Waters, musician, photographer, visual artist, and a dear friend of mine based in South Wales and Bristol. Thank you for joining me, Mary. How have you been?
Hey Leo, it's very nice to be here. Yeah, I've been all right, thank you.
What have you been up to today?
Today I just went on a walk to some woodlands, which is very lovely, and it's kind of what you need right now.
Yeah,
It's like a great de-stressor, you know.
it's actually nice to actually get out of the house for once.
Yeah.
Obviously because of COVID.
Yeah. It's nice. Like, you know, often days tend to merge into one a bit. Like when you're a student nowadays, a bit.
Yeah.
Anything like that is always nice.
I think it's also just, I don't know, like, did you go with people? I'm assuming you went with your housemates as well.
Yeah, I went with one of my housemates, it's nice. Yeah. It was like a Henley's near Henley's Lake in Bristol. It was very
Henley's Lake,
nice. I would recommend.
Is that near, like, you know, the road up the way you live now?
Yeah.
Is it like that way? Like,
it's like kind of near Southmead Hospital actually, but much nicer than Southmead Hospital.
I've only been to Southmead Hospital once, so I know to get there, but like I don't know if you. I don't know anything further up. Because you know up Gloucester Road, it keeps on going up, and I don't know what's up there.
it just keeps going.
Yeah.
So, was that when you like when was that, first year or?
No, I went there. What did I go there for? I had like an appointment there. I had like a referral appointment there.
Oh, okay.
And I had to walk from where I used to live to all the way there because I hate buses. I'm not,
Yeah.
I didn't cycle because I thought it'll be ages, but it turns out the walk was even longer.
Going. But yeah,
yeah,
that was nice. It's like gets your head in a nice headspace, and it does like help as well. Like, because I've been very blocked for ideas. Like, I've got this new topic I'm supposed to be doing with uni, and like, you know, when you're just given a brief and you just have this block, it walks.
Yeah,
help with that. I find.
So how does it feel to be the first ever guest on this fairly new podcast I've been planning for ages? Like, I feel like I've been delaying it so long until now we're actually doing it.
Yeah, I'm like it's honoured. I feel honoured. I'm happy that you're doing it as well because like you said, you've been talking about it for a while, and I was excited about it. So it's great that it's happening, and very happy to be here, the first guest. What a privilege.
I wanted you to be the first guest from the start, but it's just I was also worried about like people I may ask and then they say no. I was like, what do I say in that situation? What do I do?
I think it's just good to get it started, get it going, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a few people that I know as well that I think would like to go on it. So
well, yeah, sure. Like, send them my email or contact details or whatever. I'm more than happy to have people on here because
it's a great,
just creating a
great idea.
Yeah.
There's so many people that would like to talk about like their creative projects, and so many people are doing this kind of thing. So yeah, it's great that it's happening.
I think I more wanted to do it because you know how previously I've worked with you in like photography projects, and I like learning about people and talking to people about what they do.
Yeah, that's always seemed like what your projects tend to be.
Yeah, so I thought maybe because even though I studied photography, but I feel like that's not where my heart is at. Like I'm interested. I like film and all that kind of like recording element of stuff. Photography I like doing on the side, but I don't want to do it as like a full-time thing because I don't feel that's where my strengths lie.
Yeah, you always seem very interested in what other people are doing, like almost as much as what you were doing. So it makes sense to do something like this.
Yeah.
Seemed to me anyway.
And I'm hoping by the end of all the recordings I end up doing, it just becomes a documentation of more like an archive of just conversations, and I'm just creative conversations straight to the point. This is what it is.
Yeah, I like that. And that's a nice thing to look back on as well.
But let's talk less about me and more about you, because
Uh,
this episode is dedicated to you. So you're currently studying photography at UWE, University West of England, for those who don't know.
in second year. No.
So how have you found studying a creative degree at university?
Well, it's like it's hard to describe in a way, and hard to like summarize in a short sentence, but I definitely like it. It's what I want to be doing. Like, I'd much rather be doing that than writing just countless essays. I mean, there's a few essays as well, but I just really like how learning theoretical stuff about photography and like the more kind of conceptual side of things is balanced with actual like immediate creative results. And you can just see, like, even throughout first year, like yourself getting so much better and producing stuff that you like in a very short space of time, which is it's just so satisfying, anything to do with the arts like that, which is my favorite part about it. Like, you get to see results so quickly, which is great. Yeah.
And what would you say studying a creative degree has helped you to be more creative in the real world? Obviously, there's a big transition between studying a creative subject and kind of like your own professional work.
Yeah. Well, I think because I would always, do little creative stuff, whether it's drawing or just like making beats or something like that, or just like random shit that you just do because you want to. And I think doing the degree in it gives it a bit of structure and forces you to actually focus down on one thing and maybe do that for like a few months and really like get into it. And that makes it a better body of work then, rather than just sort of dipping your fingers in loads of different shit, which is what I tend to do, which is it's great, it's fun, but I just think where uni can be useful is it focuses you in and forces you to do the research, which is the bit that, like, me and I know a lot of other people tend to be like, oh no, I don't want to research, but it really like does. It's what helps your work to become better and progress. So I think that is what is good about it for me.
And would like, in terms of there being like a transition between, because obviously at uni there's kind of like projects set for you and you kind of work around, or they give you a theme and you work around that.
Yeah.
Since being at uni, have you created your own kind of personal projects, but not in like the university setting?
Well, a lot of my, if they're given the opportunity to be personal in uni, then I do tend to make them personal, just because that's the kind of work that I like to make. Like, for example, last year we had like a bookmaking project, and I think it was they do tend to be quite open-ended, a lot of them do. So I was doing that about memories, how we perceive memories, and trying to make images that replicate that, like passing of time, nostalgia, growing, moving forward, this kind of thing. And I think there's always room for those uni things to be very personal, and even if it's just a short topic, I think it's important to do something that really resonates with you. And they do say this on the course, but it's often tempting to just do things that you think that the shooters will like, or just what you think maybe like everyone else in your group will like, or just everything you've been seeing like currently on Instagram or other image sharing platforms. But yeah, I don't know where
I also know
actually, but yeah, just always make it personal to you, just even if it's the randomest topic or least coherent in a way.
And have it, because I've also, I've been on the same course as you, so I know I've done all that and I know what it's like. In terms of what are they called again? Like guest speakers.
Guest speakers, yeah.
They, on our course, they always emphasize how you should go to guest speakers because you can use your notes from that lecture in your research.
Yeah.
So far, well, I guess not this year because you've only just gone back. But while being at uni, who has been your favorite guest speaker and why?
Oh, now you're asking. Well, I did like the Lewis Can. He came in and talked about his photography, like his project theatre a bit, like where he shot in a hospital. So I think it was great just because I really like his photography and getting to see his images and a bit about like how he came to do a project like that. I think it's always just lucky if there's guest speakers whose work that you like, and they do try and get a range. If there's something that's just completely, if you don't like the actual images themselves, it can be hard to resonate with what they're saying, even though it can be useful, of course, but just his images are just really the kind of thing that I like and resonate with. So that was my favorite one, I'd say. How about you?
You are right. You're not always gonna. Sorry, you were saying. Sorry, we just interrupted each other.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I was just going to ask, have you had any others what was your favourite one or any that stood out to you in the course?
Oh, bloody hell. I have to remember. Okay. I'll talk about the most recent one because it links with the thing I'm doing now with you, the podcast. So I remember, I'm sure you're aware of a Small Voice podcast.
Yeah.
It's like conversations with photographers. And the guy who hosts it, Ben Smith, he came in for a guest,
did he?
like kind of for a lecture, and I went to it. And he was just the most funny guy. Like I thought, only because I've only ever heard his voice.
Yeah.
I had like a different idea of what he would look like in person, and he looked completely opposite to that. And it was just like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I really like that podcast channel. Well, I've only just started listening to it,
but he the one reason I went to that, and one of the reasons I kind of like really enjoyed that, because he did a podcast with another photographer, Rhiannon Adam, that I met years before actually studying photography at UWE. So I did a project with her a long time ago, and then I was kind of like, that's how I found out about him, because I listened to the podcast she did with him, and I thought it was like really amazing. And then I found it cool how I've met these two people who have met each other, and I've met both of them. It's kind of like a weird circle, and I think this is amazing.
Yeah. Wait, she was in your year, was she?
No, she was. This was like, when was this? This was like 2014 or something. I was at school, and it was like a project outside of school, and it was a collaborative project with other creative students, and I was one of the many, and we were assisting Rhiannon and Adam with like kind of like I think it was like a photography project of some sort. And each week we would have like a meeting, and we would like edit all the photos we've taken and stuff, and kind of like have like a crit and talk about what we've done.
But this in school then?
Yeah, this was in London. This was before Bristol.
Okay, that sounds quite good.
But since then, I've been in contact with her over the years. Even when I went to study photography, I spoke to her about it, and because she was aware of, before actually studying photography, I did. I'm going onto like a this is going off topic right now. I'm going to talk about my life.
What you need, tangents is where it's at.
I'm going to bring it back to the main question though. So I initially went to the lecture or the guest speaker because I wanted to, because he specializes in podcasts, and it's something I wanted to do for a long time. So I thought he would be the best person to listen to. And I remember at the end of the guest speaker, he was asking for questions. You know how they usually do it. and I spoke to him. Yeah, so I spoke to him face to face, and that was quite like a liberating moment for me, because
it's nerve-wracking asking a question at the end. It is.
Yeah, it felt weird to be next to someone who I'm inspired by, in a sense.
Yeah.
So I asked him. I kind of explained the idea to him, and I asked him what do you think I should do? And he said one line to me. He said to me, "Just go for it and don't hesitate."
I think that is good advice. And I think not wanting it to be perfect straight away. I think that's the case for any creative project.
I think for a long time I wanted it to be perfect, and that was the one thing that stopped me from actually doing it.
Yeah, I totally get that, and it's like I get that with loads of things as well, and it's like, how do you expect it to be like perfect? And like, let's say like a podcast channel that you've been listening to for years, when this is like your first one, it's just not going to be, is it? Or the same with a photography or music project. Like, these people have been doing it for years, and they've had their trash episodes or trash projects that they've just got out of the way. So I think you just always need to just not give a shit too much and go straight in there and just do it. It is hard though.
It is hard, and it's also more I guess in slight pressure for me that I'm pretty sure I'm the first person to create a podcast like this
with this specific like concept.
Yeah. Because I've there was another podcast called Creative Conversations, but it was with a different person, and I listened to a few of their episodes, and they mostly covered politics and stuff, and I guess
that's
like the politics of creativity, and
okay, politics.
But then I'm more speaking about people and what they do and the ideas they have and the shares they want to share.
Yeah. I think it's a great concept for a podcast. Can be very broad as well. Yeah.
So on the conversation of politics, oh god, what are some challenges in the creative industry, or what are the challenges the creative industry face, like in your opinion? Because obviously of COVID and stuff, and there's a lot of
just like the general like lack of respect for it. Well, I guess topical in a way, like what the Tories have been doing, but it's also just people are so pushed from the very start to just not pursue anything creative or not go into the creative industries. Like, it's very, unless you've got very parents who are encouraging or schools that are encouraging of that, like for the most part it's seen as just a bad idea, that it's not going to make you any money, you're not going to get anywhere. People tend to be very pessimistic about it, I find. But yeah,
have you ever had
it more? It makes it more like you want to do it more almost. So.
Yeah. Have you ever had like, I'm sure you've had this like interaction with someone where you explain the course you study and then they ask, why are you studying?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Not so much for this course. It was more when I did my art foundation before, like everyone in my secondary school was just like, why the fuck are you doing that? Such a weird course for you to be doing, like. But by the time I went on to this course, everyone just sort of accepted, you're going to do something creative, and yeah, go for it. Even if they were thinking of it, they didn't say it. So yeah, I think once people realize that like you actually do want to go in a certain direction, you'll stop getting sort of questioned about it or people looking down on it so much. I think maybe possibly.
Because I'm part of me thinks that studying a creative subject at university level is less looked down upon in comparison to studying a creative subject at like secondary school level.
Yeah, it's hard to say really. Like, I think it's just different, and I think when it comes to like a creative uni course, it's so much less guaranteed, like with job opportunities, and it's so much up to you, like what you get out of it, because you could do like the bare minimum and not really do any projects you like. Yeah, you'd still get a degree, but it makes it so much harder when you go out into the world of work, so to speak. Whereas maybe like a different degree, it's got a set path, you know, like if you want to be a doctor or something like that, or a nurse, which is completely bad as well. But it's just a safer path in a way. Yeah. Whereas this, but the other side of that is you could put your all into your projects here and just do, if you really go for it, I think, then you can, it can be amazing and you can start to get more opportunities and start to get noticed, I think. Me being optimistic.
And do you feel like because I always think there's a lot of people think that academic subjects and creative subjects are very different. And I think they're very different, but also there's some kind of traits within both that kind of like cross over.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you thought, what your thoughts around that?
I think well, especially photography, that's the only one I've got experience with. It does, there's a lot of reading that you have to be doing, a lot of analysing, which is something that I did in my English A level a lot. There's a lot of just thinking critically and really, I think if you want to get the most out of photography, you do have to just do a shit ton of research, loads of reading, this kind of thing, that's not really what you'd think of. It's not making art all the time. There's a lot which isn't. So I think that's probably the biggest crossover. And, probably I'm guessing maybe more academic subjects have got creative sides to them, maybe, or, well, more the humanities, I'm supposing. Do you agree? Do you think?
So I'm thinking, I guess in all subjects, you have to think. You have to think creatively, and a lot of the time there's not a lot of the time, but most situations there's a problem, and you have to create the solution.
Solutions to that problem.
Yeah, and in both subjects, in all subjects, you have to do a lot of research and kind of back up the point you're trying to make.
Get a broad view of things. So yeah, that's true. I think that's what maybe a lot of degrees have in common. Just delving into your subject, I think. And when it comes to a creative subject, it's not all just taking pictures or just painting or just making music. You have to do that as well. Just really read about your subject and gain knowledge about it, which I probably need to do more of at the moment. But
I think that's the most common thing I've heard from someone say. They say to me, "Is photography just taking photos?" And it's like, if it was that easy, I wouldn't be paying 27 grand for the course.
It's not just that, is it? Yeah, I've had people say that to me as well. Or the classic is like, "Oh, you can be a wedding photographer then." I'm like, maybe, but hopefully other things as well. It's that's seen as like the end result almost. But I'm happy to do weddings, but I'd rather it take me somewhere different that's not that.
And what would you say photography for you? What does it mean to you? Why is it so precious for you right now?
Well, you know what? I've actually, because I do music as well, it tends to be I go have a photography phase and then have a music phase. And I'm probably more in the music right now, but nevertheless, I do always still love photography. And why is it special to me? I just think there's just something really beautiful about taking pictures that have got a lot of thought behind them and arranging them in certain ways that can convey a narrative. And they just get so much more precious with time as well, especially photos, I think, more than any other art form, for me anyway. So I know that if I take photos today, they're going to gain even more value for me in the future. So that's just what I love about it, really.
And what have been what's been the most beneficial project you've worked on, and how has that helped you to support? kind of your own work, I guess. Or I guess like forget the second question, just the first question. You know, what's the most fun project you've worked on?
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I think probably like a project that I did over this summer, it's called like dissociation. And that was when I was like having a bit of a rough mental health patch. And it was just sort of trying to put into images what I was feeling in a way, like through self-portraits and also through pictures that were supposed to be what I could see out of my eyes, and like how the world looked different to me in that point. And I think it was just a very interesting way of working that I hadn't done so much before, and also just made the whole, if you're not in the best place, it made it more bearable in a way. And it's interesting to look back on as well, just to, because it really, like, for me, it just did capture how I was feeling and how I thought maybe others saw me through my self-portraits. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll do something like that again in the future, but it was definitely the most interesting one to me that I've done. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that one on my Instagram.
No, I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, including yourself, let's be honest about this. COVID, it has loads of mental health, it doesn't help. I can't really. I'm trying to find the word.
It has a huge impact, definitely, and people like, it's easy to forget as well, like, because we all know that we're like living in a pandemic, and it's just becomes small talk in a way, and it becomes like, oh yeah, like we all hate this, but it actually has like such a real impact on people's actual mental health,
because
lasting impact as well. So yeah, like
sorry.
Go ahead.
That's fine. Well, on a side note, I was going to say, I don't want to get too political, but the one thing I hate about the pandemic, it's not the fact that it's, it is here and it's fucking everyone's life in a sense. But the one thing that annoys me about it is that for people like us, or other people struggling with mental health kind of issues currently during this time, there's not a lot of support in place for that.
No, there's really not. Like, it's ridiculous, I think, like the fact that this has been just so pushed aside. And I know that it's impossible to have everything, but if you had a government that would actually think about these things, and I'm sure it would be very possible to put some kind of support in place. And I know there are free counselling websites, but they're often difficult to access, or full, or not available to everyone. So yeah, I think you're really right with that, that if we had a government that actually thought about these things and wasn't very irresponsible, then we'd be in a better place, I think.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Governments are just corrupt, constantly corrupt.
Especially this one.
Yeah, especially this one. But hopefully, in time to come, those problems will be resolved.
I'm hoping so. Yeah, I really hope that we can get rid of the Tories in the next election. I'm not going to hope too hard, but
don't hope too hard, because we might accidentally just get Trump.
Yeah. Oh God.
So going back to kind of creativity, do you think creativity involves putting your heart and soul into your work, or is it more like letting your mind flow freely? What would you say?
I think it can just be different things for different people, and it really just depends on what you think is right for you. I think like there's a lot of benefit in maybe, just like you were saying, letting your mind wander, maybe just doing some almost mindless, if it's painting or making some sounds, this kind of thing. And I think that can almost then translate into something that's more heartfelt, and you can sort of I'm just trying to find the words now. If you start with something like that, it can often evolve into something that you think, this is really like I'm going to put my deepest emotions into this now. But sometimes you don't always want to start with that. I find like you have to wait for it to come out on its own. Like I'm not going to sit down at my laptop and like want to make a song that has to be the most, like emotional, my deepest angst. It just comes out. Like you have to wait for it to come out. Same with like maybe painting or like a photo project. But in the meantime, it's nice to like keep yourself doing these things. So just doing small little things that are not too serious, like a little beat or like a little drawing, just taking a few photos here and there. For me, that's what like helps keep me making. And those are not, my favorite things, but it's just nice to keep doing it and not take it too seriously all the time. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think.
What do you think about that? Because it's an interesting thing. Like if you want to start making something, like would you sit down like with an intention, or would you more just sort of like see what comes out?
I think it's a bit of both. I always, whenever I'm working on something or like starting off with a project idea,
yeah,
I always find it always comes from something else that may have happened to me, or something else that someone may have said.
Yeah. So it doesn't come from nothing, kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like in some ways nothing comes from nothing. Everything comes from something.
Yeah, that's a good quote right there.
Yeah, quote me there.
Everything comes from something. It's got a good ring to it. But anyway, yeah.
I feel like when you have the initial idea, in order for it to work, half of you has to put your heart and soul into it. Because if it's an idea, it's something you really want to work, but you don't know how it's going to turn out in the end,
you have to have that, like
you have to have that like motivation to begin with.
Yeah, and to keep it going.
Because there's no point thinking about what it's going to be like as an end result, because you're not there yet.
Yeah,
you have to think about in the present.
Yeah, and sometimes it's sticking with it even if you're a bit bored of it or it's not the most exciting to you right now. It can't always be exciting, like, and it's just about sticking with it sometimes.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, you're right. It might not be, something that at the time, particularly, well, if you're posting it online or whatever, at the time people aren't, interested in it, or you're not interested in it, but it could develop into something interesting.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to give it time.
And with that as well, I think it is important maybe to not feel like you have to always be posting things to make people think that you're doing something. I don't know if that's something you feel, but I definitely feel like that, the pressure to like seem like you're always making things or like you've always got something going on. I think sometimes it's better to like keep the work to yourself until you are ready for others to see it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I personally don't. Talking about posting things, I don't like Instagram as a platform. I hate it.
No, that's fair enough.
Because I feel like there's a lot of pressure. Like I don't know, I don't know. It's easy to compare yourself to other people who are posting, because you can see how many likes someone gets or whatever, and then you compare it to yourself. For example, in my case, I'm like, I don't get many likes, but like, so that's part of me, which kind of why I hate Instagram, because
it can be frustrating. Definitely.
It's like how do you get more people to know about your work? Like how do I do that?
No, it is like especially when you start like a new platform like your podcast channel. It's definitely daunting. And with Instagram as a platform, I don't know, I've got mixed feelings about it. I think it can be great and it's a good way of getting your stuff out there. I think it's like just having patience with it is probably all you can do, and not take it too, like, not think about it too much. That's, I don't know. I don't have the biggest platform or anything, so
because I think even though I'm saying I hate Instagram, I just hate that aspect. Other than that, it's my favorite social media platform to use, because it's the most creative.
Yeah. I think, well, what I do anyway is, I try and do, is just take breaks from it, because you can go on it way too much. Like, it's just an easy thing to just kill time scrolling, and
Mhm.
it becomes not very positive. But take breaks, it's the best thing to do, I think.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, like even kind of during this like kind of lockdown period, I've been using my phone like less and less and less.
Oh, really?
So
That's
for
cool.
example, Facebook, I don't like, I only touched it today, but I hadn't touched it for like the whole week.
Yeah, Facebook's a bit of a dead hole at the moment, isn't it?
The only thing that's keeping me from deleting it is,
Hard to use.
messaging people and some of the Facebook pages I'm in.
Yeah, Facebook pages is definitely the best thing to come out of Facebook. Or like Bristol Mutual Aid is a good page.
Yeah.
Like free stuff on there. Yeah, creative pages and stuff can be good. Apart from that, it's garbage.
Would you say that like creativity is? Would you say that social media is like a good place to express like kind of creativity, or like post things, or just general whatever? The internet
Yeah,
is useful. That's what I'm saying. It is useful.
no,
It's
I
there.
think it
We
is.
have to use it. Without it, it would be even harder to kind of present work and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's good to post what you do creatively on social media. I think it maybe encourages other people to do the same, and it can act as, if you don't have a website yet, I think the most important thing is it's just a bit of a portfolio for you. Like, that's
Yeah.
what I use my photography Instagram as. It's just a portfolio platform until I get a website. And it's just nice. I like seeing what other people are doing. It just helps me to stay motivated a lot, I think. So that's why I post as well. Hopefully it will have the same effect for others. Do you
Yeah.
find that, or do you find
No,
it's inspiring seeing others, or?
I enjoy. One of my favorite things about Instagram that I do quite a lot is I share other people's work on my story.
Yeah, that's a nice thing about Instagram, definitely, when you've got that mutual support.
Yeah, I'm constantly looking at people's work and constantly, commenting and sharing and liking. I feel like, because I'm not currently making any kind of like photographic work,
Yeah.
because unfortunately, it's lockdown, and also it's a high, currently in my area it's high risk, so
Oh,
for that
really?
reason
Oh,
I
no.
haven't gone out at all.
Yeah, that's very stressful, that is.
So
It's
I,
hard.
I
Yeah.
I like Instagram as a creative platform. It's just, it's great. It's so multicultural, and you can learn so much
A
from it about
load of
other
different
people.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I think I sometimes rely on it too much for finding artists as well, though. I mean, it's great for finding artists. Um, I think, like, if you can look at magazines and stuff like that, it tends to be more in depth about people's stuff on there. But yeah, to be fair, with what we got, it's just most people have Instagram. It's a great place to start.
I'm trying to remember. Did we? I'm sure it was you. Did we go to Bath?
Yeah, that
We
was
went.
last, when was it?
I'm because I was trying.
Like
Oh
last
God.
February, I think it was, or January.
Yeah. We went to Bath with a friend of ours, Anna.
Mm.
And do you remember the magazine shop we went to
Oh
at the
yeah,
end?
that was great.
That was great.
There were so many. Just those magazine shops are my favourite. Even
Because
if you don't buy anything, just spend all afternoon just digesting this free stuff.
Because that was my first time like fully in a magazine related store, like
Yeah,
actually buying a magazine, because I've never done that before.
Yeah, it was lovely. I think shops like that, I'm glad that they exist.
Yeah, it's quite nice how within that one, it was a very small shop. Do you remember? I was like
Yeah.
sitting near the door, but like,
You had a nice conversation with the shop lady as well, I remember.
I can't even remember her name, but she was so nice, and
Yeah.
we're just
I do
chatting away about you know, as I'm doing with you now, I was just talking to her about what she does and how long she's been like running a business for. And you know, I guess once again that was like another conversation I really enjoyed, which I remembered.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you do seem to take an interest in other creatives a lot, so I think it's good that you're doing this kind of thing now.
And more so the fact that I can just randomly go up to a stranger and start talking to them about, they don't even know me, and I'm just talking to them about their life and stuff.
It's a good way in, definitely, talking about creative stuff, because it tends to be personal as well, but you can make it as personal as you want to, if you get me.
Yeah. So, you know, around kind of in your personal life, kind of what has influenced you to choose your career path?
Well, probably like the obvious thing would be like my parents they're in like creative industry, like they're potters. So they did the whole like art school, like building a brand for themselves. So I guess that showed me that you can do it and it's possible. And I think I was like very lucky that they like supported me in wanting to do something in the creative path as well. So I think that's probably the main thing that I could think of. A lot of my friends in school were not like, they did more sciencey stuff, more like academic. So.
And do you feel like, because now, I just thought of a question that I could ask you based on what you just said.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel like, so you know how you said like your parents were kind of like, you know, studying and working within the creative industry? Say for example, my parents were both working in academic industry. Do you think I would be more likely to be creative or not? Do you think your parents, what they do has an effect on what you do as in your future as the child or whatever?
Well, that's a question. I think it depends. I think, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I think even if my parents had been, you know, something else, worked not in the creative industry, I would have still wanted to, I think, but maybe they wouldn't have supported it so much, so it would have been harder, maybe. And I don't know. I think maybe sometimes parents or like people from our parents' generations have been more pressured to go into like more reliable jobs, but maybe they have like creative hobbies, so maybe their kids would feel more able to go into that direction, but who knows? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know, like I similarly to you, my mum also works or has worked in the creative industry. Not anymore, but like she used to.
Was she like encouraging for you to go that direction?
Well, initially photography wasn't my like direct.
Oh, you were doing drama, right?
Yeah, I was doing acting and all that stuff before, so I wanted to go into that.
Still creative industry though, right?
Yeah, still creative industry.
Was it your mum like? Did she like that idea? Or?
Yeah, she was quite supportive of that, and you know, over the years I was at school and college, I performed in like, you know, many plays, many performances, and I remember. I don't know, when I get into university level, I realized I didn't want to do it. It was just kind of like not random, but I had a reason why I didn't want to do it, and I chose not to do it. But also because I did photography at A level as well, I knew I could also just do that. I could just go into that instead.
I think like that's as well. People are so afraid of making the wrong choice, including me. But you can always just change it. You know, it's better to just go for it if that's what you want to do at the time. And if it's not, in a few years, you can just change it. And that.
Because a lot of people I've speak to, they always say how, like when you ask them like what are some of the talents you have, you know, people I've spoken to, they always say I don't have any talents, or I don't know. And I feel like
everyone's got
there's
something.
always something.
Yeah.
Everyone has something. It's not like you don't have nothing. You're not boring as fuck or whatever.
Yeah, I guess it can be like hard to like discover sometimes, but I think there was always something there. Yeah.
So I would say one of the main things I like about your work, you experiment with. So I'm not going to be critical here. I'm just going to be honest. I really like how you play around with abstractation.
Okay.
I love abstract photography. I just love things that like don't make sense, or and you allow the viewer to like come up with their own interpretation and stuff.
Oh yeah, thank you. I'm glad you see that, because that's something that I like as well, and I enjoy doing.
I was wondering, do you ever create hidden meanings or messages within your work?
I like to, maybe in the future. I don't think my brain is at that level quite yet. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I like that idea, but I haven't actually done it in any of my photography work. A hidden meaning. I think I just appreciate when other people tell me what they think or what the work means to them, and I'm still very much learning, so that can help me sort of think about what am I actually doing with this work.
Yeah. And do you enjoy sharing your work with others? So say not when I say others, I don't mean posting. I mean just
friends.
For example, just friends, or do you enjoy that process?
Yeah, I do. Like, it's always great to see what other people think, and great if you can get some honest feedback from friends, because there's oftentimes people see things that you can't, and so I think it's great to have those kind of discussions with people, and you can offer new perspectives on other people's stuff, and it's just fresh eyes. Like I always do want, like, I'm sometimes a bit nervous about showing things that are maybe not my best, but I do think it's so useful to have fresh eyes on your work, and it can just help it to progress quicker. So yeah, I'm all for that, definitely.
I agree with you 100%. I think it's good to, especially when you're unsure about what you're posting before. It's just good to talk to your friends about it and let them see and get their opinions on it. And then you can, if they have some like critical opinions, you could possibly change your approach, or
I should probably do that more, actually, because I do always think, oh, is this good, is this not? When a simple thing would just be to ask someone what they think. Sometimes you forget to, and you just mull it over in your own head. But
and do you pay attention to others' like strong reactions towards your work? And does that ever like affect how you create?
I think sometimes yes, sometimes no. I think it's important to listen to what other people say, but also if you've got a vision that you believe in and that's what you're trying to achieve, if someone's like, oh, I'm not sure about that, you've just got to go for it regardless. I think it's about your gut feeling with that kind of thing, and how sure you are about your project. Just for example, like there was a song that I've been working on, it's been like for a while now. I showed it to one of my friends back in Wales. She was like, okay. She liked it, but she wasn't really sure what I was doing with it. Like, it's not her kind of thing. Like I could tell that. But I was just, when it comes to that kind of thing, I'm like, not gonna let that sort of make me question it, because I know what, like, this is the kind of music I'm into, this is what I want to do. And if like other people, like not necessarily this situation, if other people don't really get it, or they're just not sure about it, I think you should just go ahead regardless. But if it's like maybe something you're stuck with, like in a project, you're not sure which direction to go next, maybe showing it to someone who can see what you're trying to get at, and they can really help you like know what direction to go in next, give you some good suggestions.
Yeah, I think more so it helps more when you speak to someone who's also either in the creative industry or
do creative things themselves.
Yeah. I find I've tried having these kind of conversations with people who no disregard to them at all.
Yeah.
But you kind of get different responses when you kind of say you have your dad's a lawyer or something, and you talk to them about it. They're not going to get the kind of same insight as someone else would working or studying in the creative industry.
Yeah, it's going to be different, and I think maybe. Well, if like I talk to my friends who are not doing art subjects, like they can still give like a good, like whether they like the result, whether they think the result is good, that could be quite valuable as well. But when it comes to like maybe the process and working out creative solutions, maybe if you've got a friend that also does something like that, they're used to thinking about it in this way, like I think that would be probably more helpful. But it's just two different viewpoints, which both valid, I reckon. But I get you completely. Yeah, there's a definite difference there.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned earlier about you studying a foundation. Was it foundation art?
Yeah, art and design and foundation diploma it was. Which
so for those people who are listening, let's kind of like create like an imaginary timeline.
Yeah.
Of I don't know, like from when you start, when you first, I don't know, your first moment of being creative till now, and tell us like kind of all everything you've been through basically until now. In a sense.
Wow, like I don't know, I've always been like quite creative, I think. Like not to blow my own horn, but like it's just I've always been doing sketchbooks like for as long as I can remember, really. So like this art foundation, which I think it's quite a popular thing with the arts, and it just seemed like an obvious choice to go on and do that. And yeah, I did like art in school and all this, but definitely like the foundation course is when it got really, really bloody arty. So I'd recommend it. Like it's not for everyone, but if you just want like a nice, it's quite a chill year, I'd say. It's very chill, and you have lots of conversations like these, which was the thing that I really did like about it. Just all very, very arty people, and it was just all about expression and just doing what you wanted to do, which was lovely. Definitely, it was great.
And then was it a big transition coming from art foundation to BA honors photography? Like what?
I think it was good. Like it was a good transition. Like it was more focused. The photography, my first year photography, it was because foundation was kind of all over the place. Like you did a bit of this, bit of that, which was fun. But photography, it was more focused. But it's it's still like the whole art school vibe you got going on. Yeah.
And through everything you've done in your life so far, what has been your favorite accomplishment?
My favorite? Oh wow. I have to have a think about that. Favorite accomplishment.
Or maybe the most memorable. Like.
I think like maybe the music that I'm working on now is probably like the thing that I'm most excited about. Yeah, I'm really excited about this project because I've been recording stuff in my room for a couple of years now, but I've just gotten better at it, and so it sounds better now, which is exciting. Yeah, definitely.
And I think we should just go straight into the music now because we're talking about it. So I know. So
talk about this.
Yeah. So at the moment, everyone, Mary's in the process of creating her own EP. And I imagine for you, as you said, it's a very exciting time, and you're looking forward to like kind of creating new music.
Yeah, it's really exciting to me. I'm just trying to do my uni work, but not get too distracted by this. But yeah, I think it was mostly lockdown just was a really good like boost for me. Actually, it's very similar to like, when you're making a photo book and you're ordering pictures to have a certain effect. and a certain timeline. It's just very, very similar with that, like thinking about songs to put in an EP. And you know, when you listen to an album, when it's really nicely sequenced, it just makes sense from start to finish. I just think that's such a beautiful art form, and it's really, really like a nice challenge to think about how can I do this for my music.
And it, like, kind of like describe to us kind of like your creative process. So say you're at the beginning of creating a song for your EP. How do you get yourself into the creative zone in order to make music?
I do like, it tends to be like R&B, like soul, a bit of indie, like with hip hop beats in a way. So I never know when a song I write is going to be on this project. I just have to, if I've got a good feeling about it, I'll just try and record it. So the biggest thing is just for me to not overthink it, not take it too seriously. Like, I don't care if this song is probably going to be trash, like it might be trash. I'm just going to put a beat down. Like, making a beat is like a fun first step. Like a beat that sounds really good that I can groove to, you know, and then just add the next layer, so like keys or something. If I'm liking the sound of that, add something else, add some lyrics that maybe I've written down on my phone last month, see what that sounds like, and just go with it. Like, if it's not working, you're not really vibing with it, just start again. Maybe just leave that, come back when you're feeling fresh. And, you know, some of them you're going to really like some of them I do really like and have turned into songs that I love that I was really not expecting. It was just one day I thought, I kind of feel like making a beat. Even like not a song that I'd already written, it can sometimes just come out of nowhere, which is, it's one of the best feelings when it happens like that. Sure.
Am I allowed to talk about some of the songs I've already listened to?
Yeah.
You sent me two
unfinished ones.
Yeah.
You can have to talk to me about that.
I loved it. It was just I loved it for two reasons. One, because I love listening to new music, especially when it's people I know.
Yeah, and
also because I've heard when we worked on that kind of like photography project in the past. I had like I guess a one-to-one listen to you play and sing. It was quite nice.
Yeah, it was a nice project, that.
So the two songs that Mary sent me were, correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh wait, no, don't say the titles because I'm so bad at thinking of titles, so I just give it the randomest shit.
I remember both of them.
Okay, I thought the first one and the second one.
I'll say the first one because the first one I like. The second one I won't say because maybe it's unofficial. I'll say one just to tease people in. Yeah. So the one I liked in particular.
I'm curious which one it was.
If a hug was a person.
Yeah, no, I do like that title.
That was my favorite one, I swear.
I'm glad you like that.
It's really nice, isn't it? It's a lovely collection of sounds.
Oh.
And I think I like the chorus, and I like when you singing as well.
Thank you, man.
And then there's a bit, I don't know what it's called. Is it called like, the bit like, it's like in the middle of the song, and
with the voiceovers, like audio clips. Yeah,
it's really good. It's like,
I think the bridge that is, yeah.
And because it's unofficial, sadly I can't share it with anyone. So
you'll be able to hear it soon if I get my ass in action and actually finish it, which hopefully I will soon. But yeah, thank you, Liam. I'm glad you liked it.
How are we allowed to talk a bit more about the EP itself?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. Yeah.
So in terms of, I don't know, what's that experience been like for you? Because obviously, is it your first time doing it?
Yeah, it is. It's exciting just like saying it because like I haven't been doing this kind of thing for that long, maybe 2 years, and someone was like, oh, maybe you should like put together like a little demo EP, and I was like, oh, that sounds very exciting but also very hard. So it's a nice process, and it's it's a way more long-term process than I thought it would be. I thought I'd maybe be able to do it in like a month or so, And I think some EPs like you can, and like a lot of ones I see on Bandcamp or SoundCloud are very just, you know, you can see that they're quite raw, like quite rough, and I think that's nice as well. But this one, I tend to like maybe work on a song 1 month and come back to it a month or two later and see it fresh and make it different. So it is quite like, it feels quite a long process, but it's nice to see how it does shape itself slowly over time. I think that's a really nice thing about it. Yeah, and I'm excited for you to listen to the whole thing. I'll probably send it to you before I put it out, because that's what I'm planning to do, is send it to a few people, see what they think listening through, get some feedback, and then yeah.
I just think it's amazing that you're doing it. So, I know I've spoken to you before where you've kind of mentioned it, and you've spoken about how you want to kind of make more music, and look at, you know, in some ways, like COVID has been.
It's been a blessing for them.
It's been a blessing. It's helped you in
from that point of view. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'd say it's definitely helped a lot of other people in the creative industry to create more work, as we were saying before.
Yeah, I think it has. Like, I've seen a few projects based around it, which have been really good projects.
So, having now started creating an EP, you know, in terms of like kind of the music industry,
yeah,
who would you most like to collaborate with?
Okay, I've got an answer straight away, which is an artist I just love, which is they're called Orion Sun. They're like a New York-based artist, and she does it all herself. She's like bedroom artist, and she has a beautiful voice and sings over these very mellow hip hop kind of instrumentals that she makes all herself. And she's probably my biggest inspiration. You might see me do some covers of hers, but she's got a few albums out. She's 24, I believe, and just does really heartfelt stuff that I really resonate with. So if I could ever collaborate with her, that would be a dream. I doubt it'll ever happen.
How popular is she?
I think her latest album has just gained her a bit more recognition. I think that one was studio recorded. I think she's not like a what do you call it, mainstream artist at all. She's very much maybe upcoming, like Orion Sun, yeah. But you know, she's got a decent fan base now. I think she's just sort of starting to become more popular, I think.
And what's stopping you currently from possibly contacting her?
Well, just because like I think I'm gonna try and put out some music before I reach out to others, because I need people to hear what I do and see if they actually want to collaborate. But who knows? Maybe once I've got some stuff actually out.
Yeah,
but I think it's a nice idea.
I think it's nice to have. You know, I'm not massively musically talented. Like, I used to play music when I was younger.
You're into it though, right?
I'm into it. I love it. I love listening to it. I'm interested in it. I'm always asking questions about it.
Yeah.
But kind of like, I don't know how to ask this. I've kind of just lost the question that was in my mind. I'm so sorry. One sec.
It's all good. You take your time.
I don't know, like, gosh. Being a musician, are there sometimes ever like some barriers which like stop you from?
Yeah, definitely. Like, well, it's just not being good enough, basically. Like, if there's something you want to do, like there's a certain melody or certain like guitar lick or effect you want to achieve, but you just literally haven't got like the notes under your fingers yet. That's frustrating, because obviously when you're recording everything yourself, you need like the bass lines, the guitar, the singing, and these are all separate things that I've only got basic level in all of them. But I sometimes want, you know, an actual bass player that can do this really nice lick for me, but I end up just doing my own basic version of it. I think that's the main thing, is just wanting to be better than you are. But got to take things slowly and just keep going, really.
And what would be some advice you would give to someone maybe also maybe just a bit behind you starting off and thinking about like making their own work or making their own music? Or
I would say, like, if you want to do it, just try and find like a recording software that you can use. Like, I think most people tend to use GarageBand, like either on their phones or on laptop, or like another one. There's a few other like fairly affordable ones you can start off with, or free, and just try layering sounds, because it's a really fun thing to do, and you can actually achieve a lot with not a lot, like not as much as you'd think. Like, you can achieve some really beautiful sounds with the bare minimum. So I'd say just, don't like wait to be amazing or whatever, just do it. That's what I'd say.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah, it's good to remember, definitely. I still think that now, and it helps me. So,
what would you say has been the most difficult, like kind of like situation within your creative path, or like your music path?
I think it was deciding like whether to study it at uni or not, because I was going to do trying to do a drumming degree in Leeds. I think it was, yeah, Leeds, straight after my foundation. But I just thought, well, I thought I probably wouldn't have been able to get onto it because you have to be really fucking good. So I think that was a bit gutting, realizing that, okay, maybe I'm not at that level to be able to be a drummer, or actually, do I really want to go and study this and make this all that I do? I think that was, and then when I did and I decided not to, I sort of put music behind me a bit and thought, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do photography. And then I think I just thought, you know what, I could just do it on the side. That's fine. Don't have to just do one thing. But I think, yeah, the whole like not feeling able to study it or wanting to study it, maybe.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I not directly went through the same thing, but I've been through that point in my life where you kind of like question what you should do and what you shouldn't be doing, and sometimes it's just good to just go for it, regardless of. As I said before, like, don't think about the angle. Just think about the present and whether your heart is in the right place.
I think definitely. Like, I don't know. Did you find this with your acting? Was that like what you were always kind of gonna do?
Like, before photography came into my life, it never crossed my mind. It never.
Yeah, neither actually.
I never like thought, I want to do a photography degree, because part of me didn't even know that existed. Like, I didn't know that was a thing.
So what was it that, like, did you talk to someone that like gave you that idea, or how did you sort of think about photography?
So I remember, I don't know, like before A level, obviously in secondary school, we didn't have the option to do photography. But because I went to the same A level, I went to the same school as basically just stayed on because my school also did A level.
Yeah, same.
And they introduced photography for the first time on the year I started. And because I hate academic subjects, I'm just not good at it at all. I'm not good at maths, and English I really like, but I'm dyslexic, so I always saw that as a disadvantage. But I like the idea of being able to express yourself, and I felt within, like, especially drama, when I studied it, I could just be myself, and there was no judgment, and I love that feeling of liberation when I perform, and being like kind of like a, not to sound braggy or anything, but being the center of attention. It's a great feeling.
No, it sounds lovely.
So, to begin with, I also picked up. So I did A-level drama, I did A-level photography, and I did A-level dance to begin with, because they also did dance. But then I realized like a week into dance, I hate it because my body is not a dancing. I don't have the
Not
physique to do
out
it.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
So then I switched that for graphic design.
okay.
But because I
That's more
started like
rigid.
halfway through the year, I was really behind.
Oh yeah, that's quite tricky. That.
So I had to drop that as well. So I ended up just doing 2 A levels, drama and photography.
Yeah.
And I really, really, really enjoyed it. And
Yeah, that's cool.
I annoyingly I have quite a lot of the photos I took while studying photography at A level. A lot of the work I wouldn't show now because I was
Yeah,
a different person then, and I
yeah, no, I
made a
get
lot of the weird work. And like I remember doing a whole like modeling kind of thing where okay, it's really weird, and I kind of hate talking about it, but I'll talk about it now. I went through a
you.
phase where I there was like I was interested in modeling. I loved like modeling and
Yeah.
fashion magazines and stuff, and I did a whole like I don't know, a whole photo book of me in in my mum's clothes dressing up.
Oh, that's cool. Wait, did you take the pictures or you got someone else to take it?
I kind of did it more. I basically did it myself because I set up the camera and then I kind of just.
Oh, that's very interesting.
But I was interested in fashion and I just like clothes and mixing clothes together, and I used to sew like clothes together to make like different kind of outfits and stuff. And
Yeah, that's very interesting. So you did that when you were still living at home?
yeah, and I think also I was going through a period where I was actually discovering myself as a person and kind of the
Okay,
things I
yeah,
liked. And
yeah.
I remember I did a lot of abstract stuff. I did this one project where I laid like imagine like a massive white sheet on the floor, like massive, like the size of a room
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
And then I basically got every item from my room and put everything individually placed on that white sheet.
Mm.
And then I took a picture of it from above.
Yeah, I like that shoe idea. Have you
And then
still
I printed it on like a massive canvas.
on a canvas?
Yeah, like it's like
Oh,
as big as a wall.
oh, that's cool. I'd be intrigued to see that. Don't know whether you want to show, but
I don't know where that is. That's the only issue. I don't know. Like a lot of the stuff I took was all saved on the computer at school. I think they wiped the computer. So I have some of the images,
that's
like
good.
in some of them. I have like not loads, but I have quite a lot of them. But I don't have all of them. So I'd have to look through my old sketchbooks to see if it's in there. It probably is in there.
I like, yeah, the dressing up in your mum's clothing is very interesting. Like one of my friends did a project about that. Well, partly about that, dressing up in her dad's clothes. It's made interesting photos.
I'd say one of the things that I know that other people like yourself in the creative industry find is that we're always worried about judgment
Yeah,
and
completely.
what others will think.
Yeah,
And
it definitely clouds things when the focus is on that.
especially when you're like discovering yourself as like a photographer or a musician or whatever you're doing.
Yeah,
It's always, sometimes you can be discouraged by others' comments or what you may think others might
yeah.
feel
Even
or
what you just imagine that they think can be like massive put off putting stuff up.
yeah.
Yeah, you just got to ignore it though, I think. Like, because otherwise you'll never get anything done. Just your
Yeah,
brain
exactly.
like to be a little bitch sometimes, a lot of the time.
Yeah, if you constantly thought about what others thought about,
Yeah,
half your mind would be thinking about, half your mind would be full up with what others are thinking about. You never have time to think.
yeah, it happens a lot, doesn't it? I feel like that's the case for me a lot of the time, but you know, can work on it. and it goes up and down as well. Do you find that sometimes you just can't escape this? Yeah, well, worrying about putting stuff out. Am I to this? Am I to that? And other times it doesn't matter so much, and you just don't care. You just do you. I think it's the more you can do that, the better. But it's obviously very difficult.
The creative process for a lot of creative students or just people who are working it, it's like a wave. Imagine like a wave. It's up and down, and you go through moments where you're at your peak and you're really loving what you're doing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh,
and you crash. Yeah. No, that's a great way of looking at it. We just got to ride that wave, baby. Ride the wave.
So that linking back to when we were talking about academic subjects before, I think that would be the major difference. Imagine academic subjects is like a straight line. You go, it's guaranteed. A lot of it is guaranteed. And
maybe, and it's like you can't just do the shit, get it done, bam. Result.
I feel like
I'd imagine anyway. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe you do have.
Maybe we're speaking from a creative
standpoint. Yeah. I think it is though. Like I've got a friend that does vet med, and like, well, she's very smart, and she just kind of she doesn't question herself as much as it seems like anyway. She's just like moving on to the next thing. This. Like I do this, get this experience, bam, get it done. Like. You're not going to question what you're doing. Like that's what she knows she wants to do as well. I think when you're like doing something creative, like a lot of the times you're thinking, is this what I really want to be doing? Like, I don't know anymore. And that's like it's a bit, it's unsettling when you keep thinking like, am I on the wrong path? I think that's maybe another difference.
Yeah. And going back to music and that kind of different industry within the same industry, or just generally, you can answer this either way. It's up to you. If you could change anything about the industry, what would it be?
Oh, that's a question. No, you've got some good questions today, Liam. I have to say.
Yeah, I'm prepared.
You're prepared. Oh. I think it might be hard for me to say because I'm still a student. I'm not actually in the industry yet. I think maybe from what I can see, it's a lot about knowing people and contacts rather than the actual value of your work and how much work you've put in. Sometimes it can be just, knowing names and all this and just getting yourself in these sometimes maybe very exclusive circles. I don't know how this could be changed, but if it was a little bit more open to everyone and a bit more of a way in, that's a little bit more neutral and a bit more equal, I think that could be good. Just to make it more possible for people who have got really good work and doing really great stuff, but they often just, I think, maybe can't find ways in, from what I can see, which is very daunting, So I think I maybe would want to change that aspect of exclusivity, maybe.
I just want to pick up on something you said at the start of your response. You said how you don't feel like you're part of the industry because you're a student. Do you feel like you have to be working in the industry to be a part of it?
I think kind of. Like because I haven't had any like photography jobs or music jobs, I've heard things about how the industry works from others. I just don't feel like I'm in a position to really say what could be improved because I haven't been in it yet. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still like, I'm still a working creative. Like even when I'm a student, like, students are like they're making work and they're going to be soon in the industry. And a lot of people have got jobs already in the industry. A lot of people in my course already do. but I don't yet. So I'm just chilling, you know. I don't know. Not just
Yeah, I'm just chilling. Yeah. No, I understand. I just thought it was an interesting point to make because I've always seen it as,
yeah. What do you think?
if you're making work, you know, like if you're creative, you're like automatically in the industry because it doesn't, you know,
I think I'd
I
have
don't
to
know.
agree. Because you can do, like, let's say, taking pictures is like your hobby, like you're an amateur photographer, like you've got nothing to do with the industry. I feel like even me, like, or other students just not quite actually in or understand the industry yet, maybe. That's just what I think.
Do you
I
feel
feel like
like
it's a separate thing almost.
do you feel like people that get loads of likes, like say people get like minimum 300 likes each photo on Instagram? Do you
Yeah.
feel like they're in the industry compared to
Well,
some other
maybe they
people who
are.
get less?
You know, that's a good point actually. When it comes to having a social media presence, I think when you start to get a brand for yourself and have that level of exposure, I think maybe that is a way into the industry. I think I was thinking maybe more like with jobs and stuff, but I think you're right because it's a big part of the industry and like the whole community, like photographic community. You start to get recognized within it. So I think that's probably a way into the industry is having that many likes, that much recognition. But I think that's not actually being in it if you haven't got a job or are not around these people in the industry. I think
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like it. I understand your point because I see what you're saying. You're saying how once you get a job in the industry, then it's official. You're in the industry because you're both making work and working in the industry.
Yeah.
But if you're just, for example, in an educational institution in the industry, in like studying a creative subject, you're not. This is really confusing. Not in the industry yet because you haven't got a job in it yet.
Yeah, I think you've got links to it. You know, you've got like maybe your shooters have got links to it, and if you maybe are trying to get experience, you've got links, but you're not actually in it yet. Maybe.
Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know, like for example, using it as this as an example. So currently with the podcast, I wouldn't say I'm in the industry yet because you know I haven't even. This is the first recording. It's not like I've done a 10, but I'm hoping by the end of the 10 recordings I do, I'll be in the industry.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Because I spoke to my.
How do you go about getting? Sorry, how do you go about getting it like more recognition? I'm guessing like paying for ads and stuff is one way, but
so that's one thing I didn't think of. So I recently spoke to my parents about. They asked me like, what happens if it turns into a business, and how do you get promote stuff? And I was like, I have no clue because I've never done this before.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually think about it in that sense. I'm also thought about it as I enjoy talking to people within the creative industry, and I think it's good that I'm creating like a kind of archive for people to talk about, you know, their knowledge and their experiences. But I never thought, hold on a minute, what if it gets big and I'm some big celeb and how do I promote stuff?
You never know. I feel like you just got to go with it, like you're doing, and not.
I don't know, like at the moment I have like 40 followers, and I'm surprised it even got to 40 to be honest, because
I
thought
it's good going. Let's start.
But I think in terms of me like kind of promoting the, what are we calling this, business podcast, you know, whatever.
Yeah, podcast. Yeah,
I've been joining
like a business as well. But
yeah, I don't even know, like that's another thing. It's like the word industry.
Yeah.
When do I become a business? Like,
yeah, it's so strange, isn't it? Because you almost do have like your work becomes like a brand, and you do like sell it like a business starter in a way. It's which is weird thinking about it like that.
Wait, one sec, I have to let my cat in.
Quick, get the cat.
I'm still on the mic. I'm just moving around the room. Come on.
I wish I could see a cat right now.
I'll send you a photo afterwards.
Yeah, please.
So to answer your question about how I'm doing it or how I plan to do it, I've been joining. I don't know, like only recently in this point in my life, I'm now realizing how I need to network with people more. Because at uni,
you got any
it's at uni, it's done all for you. You don't have to do anything. It's everyone's there.
Everyone's there, yeah.
And everyone, naturally, you talk to people naturally.
People, yeah. That's one really nice thing about it. Yeah, I miss right now.
I think. So you're asking me if I have any tips on how to.
Tips.
Okay. LinkedIn. That's number one.
Oh, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn's really good.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I should try that one.
It's good because you can basically build like a CV on there, and everyone can view that.
Yeah. Do you naturally sort? Well, what's it like? Is it quite helpful then?
It's helpful because they recommend jobs based on your CV.
Okay. Do you put like photography, like creative related stuff on your CV then?
Yeah, kind of put like all the skills I have and things I've done and projects I've worked on. You can put on there awards you have, degree. You can put all your education history on there.
Like part-time jobs you've had as well.
Yeah, and it kind of like takes things from the information you've put and kind of job searches for you.
Oh, yeah, that's quite a good idea.
And I get kind of regular emails about jobs. But then also, it's a great way to connect with people. You can just it's just it's so easy to connect with someone, or you can just message them directly and just kind of discuss with them and see what kind of projects they've been part of. And sometimes people are posting because they want other people to be a part of their project with them.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like quite a good platform then. I hadn't really considered it before.
It's quite professional. I think it's
yeah.
I only started using it at the end of uni, but then
yeah,
it's also another way. Say you have a website, it's a good way to get people looking at that. You can put your website on there. You put links on there and stuff. You can put a link to your Instagram. That's what I did.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good little pointer there.
I would say that's the only, but because of COVID, I keep on bringing it back to COVID, but
you can't help it, can you?
Yeah, how do you network? How do you network in real life, face to face, through COVID? You kind of can't.
It's much harder, I guess.
Yeah.
But I suppose there's still like exhibitions and stuff going on. Private.
Yeah.
Just less of them, I guess. It just feels like everything's slowed right down when it comes to
less of them and
opportunities.
I just feel like you've got to. I think social media is the best way to do it. Basically, I'm saying.
Yeah, I think right now definitely it's all the more. And I think as well, maybe it's good to remember that like even it must be hard being like a recent graduate at this time because that's when you're supposed to supposedly get stuff. But remember that the world is slowed down, so you're not gonna get as much things at the moment.
Yeah,
maybe
you've got to just, but you've always got to keep an eye out on stuff because it, even though we're at like a terrible point in our century, I guess.
Yeah.
We still, things can only get better. I hope.
Hopefully, let's hope.
Or things will only get worse. Climate change could just kick in and fuck us all.
Yeah, I'm hoping at least in the short term things will get more positive. Not sure.
I thought that before the second wave, I thought everything's going well. It's going to get better.
No,
and then
it's cruel, isn't it? It was just getting better, and then bam.
I think that the virus itself will remain for a long time.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure what to think. Maybe it will. I'm hoping it won't affect us quite so much. After a year or two, maybe things could go back to what we call normal.
Yeah, I just think that the nearest thing that I can relate this to, that unfortunately I wasn't alive for that era, but the plague. That's like the only other thing I can think of that's just close to this.
Yeah, I don't know much about the plague, to be honest. I can't remember my history lessons, but yeah, I guess so. Spanish flu or something.
I don't know how long we've been recording for, but
I'm not sure.
I've come to the last question, or
Okay.
the second to last question.
Let's hear it.
What's next for you?
What's next for me? Oh, I think just keeping doing my uni projects. Maybe try and go and like maybe work in a gallery. Just try and get a bit more out there rather than just sticking to uni. Trying to take like creative opportunities a bit more than I have been doing so far. I think collaborating more is what I want to do. Keep working on the EP, put it out, work on the next project. Just keep churning away, really. I think I don't have like one set goal. I think just keep doing it and just keep having faith in what I'm doing. That's what I'm going to try and do. Always have faith in what you're doing. Believe in yourself. Yeah.
I think that's a good plan. And as I mentioned to you before, this is the part of the show where this is your chance to speak and say what you want to say to the viewers.
More chance.
Not directly to me, about any upcoming projects or things we've spoken about already that you want to talk more about.
You know what? I think I've probably said most of it already, but follow my Instagrams, look out for my EPs. Like if anyone wants to collaborate with me, I am always looking for collabs. So yeah, please email me or DM me. That's something. And also just like encouraging other people to like keep doing what they're doing. Like I'm very interested to hear like your next podcast with the next artist. And just really keep doing what you're doing, everyone, because I think it's great. Like it's really nice to be one of like a community of makers and artists. It's always great to see. Yeah, and stay tuned for my EP. Please listen to it. Very excited.
Well,
but yeah, I think it's been a great conversation.
Yeah, it's been it's been lengthy and it's been enjoyable, and I'm so kind of happy you're wanting to be a part of this.
Yeah, then thank you so much for asking me. It's been great.
So
always nice. We have these kind of conversations anyway, so it's really nice.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
actually record them. Hopefully, can be interesting to people.